everybody. Welcome back to Voice for Men India. Joining with us today is Saurabh Singh. He is from the Men Welfare Trust, a men's rights NGO based out of Delhi. And today we are going to discuss a very important topic which has been coming up in the query section to us since a long time. And the query remains is if, as a husband, you are charged under Section 498A IPC, which is a criminal offense in a matrimonial case, how should your organizations react? Should they ask you to resign? Should you declare all the cases to them? How should both sides behave? And I think there are some 4 or 5 important questions which Saurabh is going to help us understand. So thank you very much, Saurabh, first of all, for joining us.
Thank you, Anas. Thank you, Voice for Men, for having me on the discussion today.
Great. So, Saurabh, we'll use both the languages, as I said, so that everybody can understand Hindi as well as English. So, we'll start. पहला जो question हमें आता है, अगर हम 498A में charged as a married man, and if obviously we are a working person, so what are my chances of getting new employment? Because obviously when I will go and apply for a job, there will be, this disclaimer, which they will always ask you whether you have any criminal cases pending against you or not. Usme, what are my chances as a husband to get a new job?
Okay. So first of all, I'll start with the strategy. Okay. The strategy, whatever a husband, if I use a word victim, I am relating it as a husband here. So if a victim ever faces in future ever faces a 498A or a threat, okay. So whenever he faces a threat of 498 or vis-a-vis domestic violence, because it comes as a package, domestic violence, CRPC 125, or a divorce. So the strategy, what normally people who doesn't know and understand the law, they follow the advice, a wrong advice by the advocate, that you resign from the job and you declare in your cases that you are jobless. First of all, this strategy never works. So as an NGO, Men Welfare Trust, we never encourage people to quit from their job and state in their cases that you are jobless, because they are taught and they are assured by the lawyers or by the society or by old people that if you resign from your job, you will not be paying the maintenance. So it is a very wrong strategy to be followed. So in future, if there is a case or is there any threat of 498 or domestic violence anywhere, if a organization before pre-employment or post-employment, जॉब से पहले और जॉब के बाद, अगर आपको कोई ऐसा क्वेश्चनर दिया जाता है ज्वाइनिंग के वक्त पे कि जहां पर पूछा जाता है कि आपके अगेंस्ट कोई क्रिमिनल केसेस है या इंक्वायरी है या कभी आप कन्विक्ट हुए हो किसी क्रिमिनल केस में, तो आपको जरूरन और आवश्यक है कि आप अपने एम्प्लॉयर को सूचित करें उस क्वेश्चनर में। बिकॉज उससे क्या होगा, इन फ्यूचर अगर कभी ऐसा सिचुएशन अराइज करती है कि आपकी जो ऑपोजिट पार्टी है, जो कि आपकी वाइफ है या आपके लॉज हैं, वो कभी आपके कंपनी को डेफिनेटली अप्रोच करेंगे। बिकॉज इन आवर एनजीओ वी हैव सीन with the cases which they proceed and they accelerate, they definitely go and approach, because this is a kind of harassment, and the degree of harassment when a husband is impound or forced to accept their legal extortion or their illegal demands. So it is very important, अगर आप पहले से ही डिक्लेयर करके रखते हैं अपने फॉर्म में, लेटर डेट पे अगर ये इंफॉर्मेशन मिलती है किसी एम्प्लॉयर को, तो आप ये कह सकते हैं कि मैंने कभी भी कंपनी को झूठ नहीं बोला, जो भी मेरे अगेंस्ट चल रहा था वो मैंने बताया है। सो इन दैट वेज यू विल बी सेफ एंड देयर विल बी नो एनी integrity issues or any suppression of facts in your employment which can lead to haywire, which you will not be able to control the situation. So our say is that whenever you are facing or you are having a threat of having that impression that in future you will get those cases, definitely inform your employer pre-employment as well as post-employment. Either you are in the employment also, you please specify to your employer to your, at least to your bosses, not in a very formal way to write an email to HR or admin. You please inform your line manager or HOD that you are having such dispute between your spouses. There is a dispute between spouses and there is some problem in the personal relationship. However, you have to assure your boss, because of this personal relationship, my work, my professional life will not get affected. I assure you, and I will give my 100% for the efficiency of my work and for the productivity of my work. This is what I would say.
राइट। सौरभ, आपने बोला कि यू हैव टू बी वेरी ट्रांसपेरेंट, वेदर आप जॉब कर रहे हैं या नए जॉब के लिए अप्लाई कर रहे हैं, बी वेरी वेरी ट्रांसपेरेंट एंड डिक्लेयर एवरीथिंग। आई एम 100% विथ यू ऑन दिस, बिकॉज नेचुरली अगर बाद में पता चलता है इट इज गोइंग टू गो अगेंस्ट यू एनीवेज, सो आप पहले ही अपफ्रंट बता दो। लेकिन इसमें प्रॉब्लम ये आती है, चलिए अगर आप करंट जॉब में है, उसमें फिर भी मैं बोलूंगी कि शायद द प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ लूजिंग योर जॉब इज लेस। लेकिन मान लीजिए अगर आपके ऊपर ऑलरेडी ये केसेस चल रहे हैं और आप नए एम्प्लॉयर के साथ ऑलरेडी बातचीत कर रहे हैं फॉर अ न्यू अपॉर्चुनिटी, वहां पर अगर कोई जो भी हस्बैंड है या विक्टिम है, अगर वो जाके बोलते हैं कि मेरे ऊपर ऑलरेडी ये क्रिमिनल केसेस चल रहे हैं, तो हाउ विल दैट एम्प्लॉयर व्यू द हायरिंग ऑफ सच अ कैंडिडेट? विल दे बी ओके? विल दे से कि अच्छा ठीक है, तुम्हारे ऊपर ये अभी कन्विक्शन नहीं लगा है, तो वी विल not kind of look at that as a factor not to hire you, or they will be very very critical कि नहीं, इसके ऊपर अगर criminal cases already है, it can be a problem to us if we hire him. So how would an organization really view these factors?
See, honestly, if I talk about, that depends upon case to case and organization to organization and sector to sector. If I talk about a government organization, definitely there will be a, because as a society, people do not accept this, that you are having it. They're very, colonial mindset that yes, you are having a criminal case. They do not want to go into that. If you have specified that, yes, you have a criminal case or a trial going on, XYZ cases, they're least interested whether it is a matrimonial cases or not. As per our advices, what we give to our victims in our NGO, that whatever organization it is, you have to specify. Okay, we have seen cases wherein people are applying for a government organization or an IT company, because this ref check is a very important aspect in IT companies. If I talk about a private organization, okay, in a private organization there are ref checks. They do ask a very detailed questionnaire wherein they ask you that is there any criminal cases against you, have you ever been convicted in any criminal cases. If you specify that, yes, there are very less chances that you get selected. But we have seen, as our experience, that we have seen that people are employed because nowadays the awareness of these cases, because Supreme Court and the NCRB data talks about that these are, majority of cases are false. I'll not go into the percentage and all. So it is very evident as compared if we see the NCRB, if somebody do the analysis. So everybody is aware and every family is affected with this menace of 498 DV and all family disputes. So any false marriage will get into all these cases. In many of the organization, there is a tendency of the in-laws or the wife and in-laws of husband. They come to the organization and they want, the intention of the family is to demean the husband so that he gets challenges in the current job. Yes, I would not say that the path is very, clean for a husband or for an employee if he is facing all such cases. If any complaints comes, he has a very, tough path in the organization. He gets very tough challenges. He gets very he gets very people take him from granted, I would say, because if they say that he will not go anywhere, let him give, and they keep on loading him with the work. If I talk about the promotions and all, yes, definitely it's a challenge. So it is a tough part. I would not say that the road is very clean, the path is very clean, but one should have such patience. And what advice I would give the organization, because it's a personal matter, it's not a professional. If an employee assures his manager that because of this personal dispute between the spouses, my work and my efficiency for the product will not affect my output. Then, if he assures that, not create a problem for that employee in the organization. And in any organization, your productivity and your efficiency is the key to your success. So one should be resilient and he should work. He should not get disturbed because of his personal cases. It is very difficult to cope with the situation that outside your professional life you have a dispute, you have all ups and downs going haywire. So but you need to have patience and you need to work. So it depends upon the discretion of the organization. If I talk about an organization which is a government sector, first of all, as per law, there is no such law which can terminate a government employee if there is any criminal cases against you. Say for example, if you are a government employee and it comes to know to the organization that you have a criminal case, they can only suspend you. Okay, and an entire internal committee will be set up. With that suspension, it will be only for 90 days. However, it is only a suspension, not the termination. So there is a lot of difference between suspension and termination. Once you are suspension, you have a 90 days a suspension, I would say a stipend which will be given to you. After 90 days, it will be assessed whether an employee wants to join the organization or he is willing to or join the organization, or what are the circumstances. Say for example, if a person is in a any case, a criminal case or a matrimonial dispute, he is in jail and he doesn't get a bail. It surpasses 90 days. So the willingness of an employee to join, it depends a lot. So your stipend or your suspension salary or stipend can increase or decrease depending upon your willingness. It can increase, it can decrease also. Say for example, your conviction, after your acquittal or conviction, then your termination will be governed. Otherwise, the government, if I talk about government, it is state or central government, they cannot terminate you. There is a article 311 which gives a protection to a servant, a government servant, that there has to be a certain committee which is set up in the organization, government organization, and there should be a valid reason that if a person is working at a capacity of a government employee and he is misusing his duties and responsibilities for that particular case, then definitely an action against him can be taken. Otherwise, it depends. The suspension remains until your court orders comes out, whether it is a honorable acquittal or a conviction. So the termination depends upon that.
Right. And can you also share, Saurabh, about the private organizations? Because I think government organizations काफी clear है इन चीजों में, लेकिन जो
Mhm.
private organizations है, do we have any guidelines for them? Because every organization behaves in their own way. I'll give you two
Mhm.
examples which had come to me in the recent past. One was, a husband who was working with one of the big four companies, and he was working there since a long time. और आपने जैसे बताया कि जैसे ही वो मैट्रिमोनियल डिस्प्यूट हुए एंड ही वाज चार्ज अंडर 498 चाइल्ड कस्टडी केस भी चल रहा था, हिज वाइफ यूज्ड टू एक्चुअली कॉल द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, सेंड ईमेल्स एंड हैरेस देम सो मच कि इसको निकालो, इसको फायर हिम बिकॉज ही इज अ डोमेस्टिक अब्यूजर, ये वो. अब इस केस में what the organization did is obviously they did not take any direct action that because of
Mhm.
this we are firing you, but they started kind of harassing him कि वो अपने आप ही resign कर दे. So they started
Correct.
loading him with work pressure. जैसे आपने बोला promotions रुकवा दिए, या कहीं बोला हम आपको यहाँ transfer कर देंगे, where somewhere it's very far from where you would want to be. So this was one
Mhm.
case. Second case which I got recently was somebody had joined an organization in I think last year, and that time he did not declare the cases, which obviously
Mhm.
is something which you have no choice. लेकिन आफ्टर 6 months समवेयर ही थॉट ही फेल्ट गिल्टी, और उसने खुद ही अपने आप जाके एचआर या जो भी उनके लाइन मैनेजर थे उनको बता दिया कि मेरे ऊपर ये केसेस है, आई एम जस्ट कीपिंग यू इन्फॉर्म. सो एज पर हिम द लाइन मैनेजर सेड ठीक है आपने हमें बताया है, नो इश्यूज. बट after some days he actually was asked to resign because somewhere the management took a call. So again, it depends from organization to organization. So I think the main question what people would want to ask is that if they are working in a private organization and if they are getting these kind of pressures to resign, do they have any law or any recourse to approach court so that they don't face this kind of harassment in their professional life?
Okay. So it is a very important question you have asked. So it depends upon the situation what a employee is facing. Say for example, if I talked about earlier in a IT organization, there are ref checks. So this industry is very small. If if you are a revolutionary in the organization, people give you people give you a background or a character that he is a revolutionary or he is not good for his attitude. The word I would say that attitude is used very prominently in the organization. That is, attitude is not good. People will not go into that because this is a precedence and this is a legacy which is being followed. If your boss or if any organization, if say for example in an organization you were having an organization and the HR goes to some other organization, he applies in that organization, that HR will recall that yes, this person was in XYZ organization and he has, and I've dealt his case and he was not having a good attitude. So definitely his chances of selection in that particular organization very bleak. Okay. So depending upon, there are cases. If you feel that there is some harassment in the organization, definitely you will feel somewhat or the other way there will be an harassment in an private organization, because the world is very feminist oriented, and everybody thinks that a woman is being, even if it's a personal case, अगर ये घर ऑफिस के बाहर भी ये केस है तो सब लोगों को लगता है कि आदमी ही दुराचारी है और महिला ही बेचारी है. सो कहीं ना कहीं औरतों के प्रति, क्योंकि जो जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो एचआर है विच इज ग्लोबली प्रीडोमिनेंट बाय फीमेल्स, महिलाएं ज्यादा होती है. आदमी अगर देखेंगे तो बहुत ही हैंडफुल, वेरी फ्यू पीपल मेल एम्प्लॉयज आर देयर इन दी एचआर. सो कहीं ना कहीं एक सॉफ्ट कॉर्नर रहता है महिला के प्रति, तो कहीं ना कहीं उनको लगता है कि आदमी ने ही कुछ ना कुछ किया है. सो वो कोशिश करती है, उसको हरास करती है, कभी बोलती है कि दैट यू आर स्टैंडिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी. बट देयर आर गुड पीपल इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. क्या होता है कभी कभी, बिकॉज एवरीबडी हैज फेस this type of harassment from the spouse. If you have a very good manager and he has faced such kind of thing, he will definitely support you. That is my experience, my victims cases which comes in my organization, in my NGO. So if a person who has suffered the way you have suffered, they will definitely help you out. But now if I talk about the case wherein if you can fight with the organization and you are not affected by the termination or by forceful resignation, I would say, because normally an employee gets worried if an organization terminates him, then it will be a very difficult for him to get another job in new organization. So employee is a scapegoat and he settles and accepts the resignation or the harassment and he resigns it. Okay. If you are not burdened with the harassment, then definitely you can ask that I will not resign, you better give me termination. With that termination you can go to a high court or the superior court, because there is no such law, I would say. But yes, as per your right, as per your fundamental right, as per human rights, you can go and approach the courts for appropriate jurisdiction and for appropriate section. However, there is no such law which safeguards your employment. This is what as per law it says. But yes, there are rights, you can fight back and you can fight with the organization, because there have been, because in government it depends upon the internal committee how they have given a judgment and how they have pronounced you as an accused or convicted, or suspension is valid from the employment. Because normally companies do not want, because these are very big brands, they do not want any information leaked in media. If any information leaked in media, it can hamper their stocks. So that is why they don't want to get into hassle. However, they have a legal department wherein it clearly says that it is their professional life, and if the employment of an employee doesn't affect the productivity and the efficiency because of his personal case, we cannot take any action. There can be any adverse action if he takes any action in the appropriate court. So there are means. However, the path is tough, but you have to fight.
Right. And lastly, Saurabh, let's say God forbid he loses his job because of issues created by his wife, you know. In
Mhm.
that case, how would his matrimonial case get impacted? Would the judge have some sympathy towards the husband, or it would make no difference as such?
I would quote you a few examples of a few cases. There was one case in Gurugram. Okay, there was a company called, very big company. So there was a husband who was working, and the wife used to come and create nuisances his corporate office in Gurgaon. So the boy or the husband approached the appropriate court for an injunction that the woman should not enter my employer and demean me. So there are chances that you will get a favorable order if you have merit in your cases, and if you can prove in the court, yes, that she is trying to take the job. As per your question, yes, you will get some benefit out of it. I would not say benefit, rather relief is the right word. So you will get relief because the woman who's seeking maintenance from you and she is trying to take away your job. If a husband job is gone, who how he will give you the maintenance amount, which the court will definitely, or depending upon merit, they will award, right? If you prove that because of her my job is lost, so definitely there will be the due consideration by the court of that fact that yes, you have lost your job by whatever nuisance she has created by entering the employer office and all. I missed to mention here that if such threats comes, you have to definitely inform. If your cases are ongoing, you need to inform your IO, you need to inform your particular court, and need to inform the police and record it that this type of nuisance is being created, and you need to immediately rush to the court and stating that in future there should not be any nuisances and there should be an eviction order to restrain the in-laws and the wife to enter my employer to safeguard your employment. So this is what the best and husband can do it.
Right. So I think I'll just summarize in Hindi a little bit. So जो हम ये बोल रहे हैं कि अगर कोई न्यूसेंस हो रहा है आपकी वाइफ की तरफ से, अगर वो आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में आके बार बार हैरेस कर रही है कि आपको निकाल दिया जाए या कहीं ना कहीं आपको हैरेस किया जाए, तो ऐसा कोई लॉ नहीं है, लेकिन आप जरूर एक तो अपने जो इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग ऑफिसर है उस क्रिमिनल केस के, उनको पहले इन्फॉर्म कीजिए कि ये न्यूसेंस क्रिएट हो रहा है व्हाइल द मैटर इज सब जुडिस। दूसरा,
Mhm.
आप कोर्ट में जाके एक ऑर्डर ले सकते हैं टू रिस्ट्रिक्ट द वाइफ, ताकि वो
Correct.
ये सारा जो हैरेसमेंट है ये बंद कर दे, और वो लीगली कोर्ट से ऑर्डर आएगा विच विल रिस्ट्रिक्ट हर फ्रॉम डूइंग दीज थिंग्स। तो ये दोनों
Mhm.
चीजें हैं जो आपके फेवर में, मैं नहीं बोलूंगी, बट एक ऑप्शन है जो आप यूज कर सकते हैं
Correct.
टू प्लीज इंश्योर, क्योंकि देखिए केसेस तो सालों साल चलते रहेंगे, कभी 5 साल भी होंगे, 10 साल भी होंगे। एटलीस्ट आपको अगर वो रिस्ट्रेनिंग ऑर्डर मिल जाता है कोर्ट से, कहीं ना कहीं आप अपने करियर पे फोकस कर सकते हैं, आपका जो पर्सनल हैरेसमेंट है वो प्रोफेशनल लाइफ से अलग हो जाएगा, और कहीं ना
Correct.
कहीं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन भी वो बाद में दे विल इट विल ऑल डिपेंड ऑन योर परफॉर्मेंस, हाउ यू आर परफॉर्मिंग, एंड योर पर्सनल केस विल बी completely different from your professional life. सो
Correct.
आई थिंक ये चीजें हैं जो इम्पोर्टेंट है जानने के लिए। और सौरभ, एनी क्लोजिंग रिमार्क्स फॉर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, उनके लिए कोई मैसेज है कि वेदर देयर शुड बी सम स्टैंडर्ड पॉलिसी, या हाउ शुड एचआर रियली, बिकॉज अभी जैसे आपने बोला एवरीथिंग इज वेरी सब्जेक्टिव। अगर एचआर में अगर एक फीमेल है एचआर में जिन्होंने कहीं ना कहीं खुद एक डोमेस्टिक अब्यूज का विक्टिम होंगे कभी, so she will not review the husband in a very polite manner, irrespective whether matter is sub judice or not. And similarly, if you
Correct.
are saying अगर कोई line manager है, उसने अपने wife से अगर harassment face की है, he will be soft. तो ये बहुत सब्जेक्टिव मैटर्स हो जाते हैं. तो whether there can be some guidelines that can be framed, or some sensitization that can happen, so that everybody kind of follows the same rule on a macro level.
Right. Definitely, there should be a safeguard and there should be some guidelines from the court of law which is enforced by the organization. However, nowadays the legal department is already in place with all the private organization. I'm talking about private organization. Government organization is already having. So whether it is a small organization, MSME, or a large scale organization, they have a government, they have a legal department, and whenever such matter comes, the organization always go to the legal department. Okay, because if any such cases comes, they will seek an advice from their legal department. And nowadays, what I have seen personally with the counseling of the victims and in my particular organization, whenever such cases comes, they first approaches your line manager. So it is the relationship between your line manager, how important and how good relationship you are having, and how transparent you are. If I say transparent, you are not going to disclose everything with your line manager. It is just a very basic and a courtesy, because he's your boss. You have to only inform that these are the consequences or this is the problem which I'm facing, and you have to make him assure, give him an assurance that my productivity and my efficiency will not affect because of my personal cases. And this is a professional cases. My 100% will be for the organization. I will keep everything outside the organization. Once this cases comes, it comes to my line manager, it goes to the legal department. And I have seen personally in legal department, they are always closing, they do not give any responses to any of the complaints given by the wife, because they are not supposed to, and they are not authorized, and they are not forced to give the reply to any outsider from the organization until and unless it is an order from the court of law. One should understand that this is a personal case. An organization respects that this is a personal case, and it should not be mixed with your professional cases. However, things are different. It depends upon your line manager and your HR and your surrounding, how you are surrounded with the people. It depends a lot. But there are checks and balances in the organization as well. The organization are also empathetic. If I take an example of an IT organization, if they keep on, sacking the employees or the husband, the 50% of the workforce will go away, because everybody is facing these cases. So it is very important they should apply their mind, and they should not be taking decision in haste. So it is, organization works only on the productivity. If you give business, you are in well in the company, and if you don't give business, then they will say bye bye. So this is what my to the organization, that yes, professional or personal are both do different things. I'll give you an example. Say for example, me or you are going for an company for an assignment. Okay, I take a cab, or I take a taxi, and it gets into an accident, and somebody gets expired in that accident. How the company is liable in that travel? So same case applicable for a a fight between husband and wife. Something is happening outside the office. How the company is responsible for that thing? So my closing comment is, personal versus professional should be always kept in mind before taking any action on the employee, that is a husband.
Right. I think, Saurabh, you have just summed it up so well, and you've touched upon every small point from all angles. And for everybody who is watching, I think the key takeaway is that as far as you are doing your job and your personal life is not getting in between your professional life or your performance, I don't see a reason why the organization should kind of force you to resign. Perhaps there are cases where your outcome or output is not up to the mark because the personal cases are impacting you. In those
Right.
cases, I think yes, there could be some pressure on you, but if you kind of separate the two and focus on your performance, I think there should not be any problem. In spite of that, if the wife is still harassing, go to the court, take a restraining order, and just continue with your job career, because that is the only thing which will keep you mentally strong and balanced. There's nothing else which
Yes.
is going to keep you going. And I'll just want to mention that Saurabh is from Men Welfare Trust, which is a part of Save India family. If you have any personal questions, any personal cases, inquiries, you can call the National Helpline number, which is 8882 498 498. I will leave it in the description of this video as well. And please like and share this video with many, many people, because everybody who is working in organizations, especially the private organizations today, have these queries. They don't openly speak about this. So please send these videos to them and let them clarify all the doubts that they have in mind with regards to this topic today. On that note, thank you very much, Saurabh, for joining in. And we'll connect soon on other topics as well. Thank you very
Right.
much.
Thank you, Anas. Thank you, Voice for Man. Thank you. Have a nice day.